So I'm going to go over basically what's an introduction to global parameters so that it's also a refresher on plenum levels that you can be used for mechanical, but also to denote that there is actually room needed for your structural. So just an emphasis on naming these things. So the level 0 plenum is actually below level 2. I know I might have gone over that sort of differently last semester, but always when you're copying a level, let's say I copy that one, the last level I had was called level BB or whatever, and so I can rename this, and instead of renaming this like plenum 2, this is actually plenum 1, and this actually needs to be level 1, but we'll just call it ground. And so now I can copy this up from here to here, and that's plenum 2 for level 2, right? So it's like we're standing here and looking up at the plenum for that level that we're standing on, just like this. It's like the ceiling denotation, basically. So I'm just going to continue these up here. You can also do multiple. That's, just as a refresher there. And I'm just going to go to the residential lobby, because now these are my residential floors, and even though I've skipped a couple floors here, there are sort of balconies inside of this for the residential lobby. So these are just individually copied floors, but what I can do is copy one more from here to here, and then I'm going to actually make this 81'6", so that I know that's 3 feet. And I also suggest that on all of these plenums, before you begin, go ahead and change it to a no-head property. That's going to help us in a couple different ways. One is visually, because we can, it's not so cluttered over here. And we know that this sort of center line is a little bit smaller, so we know that the plenum is below the actual level. It's also going to help us in selecting these things. So if I go to select all instances in entire project, now it's only going to select those with the level no head. So I could copy these all the way up, but I can also array these things, and I can then add a parameter afterwards. So I'll go through that step with you. Let's just select the level 5 plenum, and I'm going to array this from here to here, just because I know that that is the distance from here to here. And we want to make sure that move to second is on and that number is changed to whatever we need it to be before you do it, or you can select this sort of array little thing over here. And I think I need 40 of these. Let's just put it at 40. And actually I need 41, 42. So again, you can select that array comes up, and we're going to make this 42. It's actually not so crucial that those are grouped and associated. It's just nice when you first array it to group and associate it, because you can then change it fairly easily. But for this global parameter scenario, I'm going to select one of these these plenums. I'm going to right-click. Select all instances visible in the view, and then we're going to ungroup them. And so now they're not a parametric array anymore, because we want to associate them with the level that's above them. So there are many ways that you can associate your levels. For instance, I could associate level 5 with a level 5 plenum, so we could get basically a floor to ceiling height. Or I guess what I'm recommending is go down from level 6 to plenum 5, so that we're actually getting the ceiling or the plenum depth. And that will allow communication between like your structural engineer, even your architect, to figure out if you do need to change the depth of your plenum. So right now, if I change one, it's not going to change any of the rest. So we need to associate this with a global parameter. And the way we do that is to go to annotate while we're in an elevation that we can see all of our plenums. And I'm going to go to aligned, or DI is the command, and I'm going to click the level 6 first, and then the level 5 plenum, or whatever level is below. You can see that it's actually correct at 3 feet. And now if I select level 5 and I want to change it, I can give this 4 feet, right? I can do it backwards as well, but because these are grouped and arrayed, those will all change. So what I need to do is lock this into place associated with this level 5, and I don't want the level 6 to change. So I'm actually going to right click and select all instances in entire project, for the levels that we know are correct, and I'm just going to pin them. And so now I can't necessarily select them. I actually probably want to try that one more time. Select all instances and entire project. And this is going to associate with the arrayed levels, and we're going to pin those. So if the first time you see that it's not pinned, that's because it probably was pinned as probably its own copied and pasted thing, so you need to pin the array as well. And I can't select it because my select pinned elements is off. And now you can see that this parameter is still here, but we want to give it what's called a label. So I'm going to select this parameter, and then up here under the modified dimensions you can see label, it's under none. We're actually going to use a new thing here called a parameter. We're going to create a parameter, and we're going to call it residential plenum. Let's call it depth. It's always good to denote what it actually is measuring. I'm going to hit OK here, and now if I select that dimension, you can see that there is a little pen linking me to global parameters. We can also get there by going to Manage and Global Parameters, or GL is the hotkey, and we can change this now. So this is parametric, so we can actually change this to whatever we need it to be. So let's go ahead and go to architecture, annotate aligned, and let's just do that for the rest of them. So this is a little bit tedious of a step, but it allows us to link all of our levels to our plenums. I'm not going to do all of them, I'm just going to do a few of them. And then once I have those done, I'm going to select all of them and go change their label to the residential plenum, and you can see that they all change. And now if I select one, I can go to the global parameters, or I can go to Manage Global Parameters, and I can change that to 3 feet. You can see they all change, or I don't know, we do 10 feet. And now they're really kind of confusing. In the future, we might get more into this, but maybe not. But if you are going to be working at a firm that is using Revit quite extensively, global parameters are very important because Revit is a parametric software. It allows you to update things fairly easily, and you can actually associate formulas with this. So if you have dozens of these dimensions, you can parametrically relate the one dimension as a formula to another dimension. So if you want it to be a percentage of your floor height, for instance, or actually your tower height. So tower height could be a parameter that's based on the ground to the top, and you know that that's going to change your, or maybe it's your bay depth, right? So if your bays are 25 by 25 and they change to 50 by 50, your floor is going to change. The depth of your floor is going to change probably. So you can associate that 50 feet with a global parameter, and then you can say that I want maybe 10% of that. So I know that 10% of my bays are going to be denoted as a value for my plenum depth. So that's that. That's how I would start to make this file parametric, and it will help you in the long run. If you didn't do this is totally fine. Even if you named these differently, like this is actually level 8 plenum, that's probably an error on my end. It's okay. Just know that when you're creating your floor plans, we're going to be looking up towards the level 8 plenum. So when you're placing things, you might know that the level 8 plenum is actually below. You're placing like the ducts below level 8 if this is called level 8 plenum. But the correct nomenclature is actually if you're placing ducts in the level 7 plenum, those are ducts that will feed air into level 7.